On the heels of a very interesting episode of Monday Night Raw, a special old school edition, we are live. Yours truly, Diamond K. I am joined by the Jammer.
Well,
how you doing, sir?
I'm all right. I'm the cult of personality. What a great show tonight. What about that old school wrestling show tonight on WWE television? Good show.
Absolutely, and usually the old school Raws are not the best. All the time.
Yeah.
All the time, you know.
And it's apparent that, there's a generation gap. A lot of people were looking like, what is a honky-tonk man? But, I think they worked them in. I think they worked them in. Some of the guys got out there and got a chance to take a little, a few little bumps out there, the Dusty Rhodes, and of course the Nate. Ric Flair was excellent with The Miz. So, The Miz. Awesome. He's really, they made a good
Mr. I call him the Mr. Boy. The Mr. Boy, yeah.
Like that. And what about Dutch Man? Now, I'm trying to think. The guy, Zeb Coulter?
Yeah.
That's, now, is that Dutch Mantel?
Yes, absolutely. Dutch Mantel, friend of the show. But yeah, Dutch Mantel also was in WWE earlier, maybe in the 90s as Uncle Zeb. Yeah.
And he spent some time, in the Mid-South area in his heyday in Texas and with the Von Erichs and things. All right, I knew that was Dutch. I just...
Dirty Dutch.
Dirty Dutch Mantel. Sure.
Dirty Dutch Mantel, yeah, absolutely.
He's doing a good job as an old school mouthpiece for the Great American. He's doing a good job.
Yeah. I guess before we run down some of the highlights of the show, what are your thoughts? Skipping around a little bit, what are your thoughts on the whole angle with Zeb Coulter and Jack Swagger? How do you feel like this is going?
Well, I like it. It's controversial. It seems to be topical. It's the old take our country back thing that seems to be pretty popular in Washington, D.C. These days with the president and all. So, I think it fits in. I think it's a little risque. Vince hasn't done anything quite so controversial in a while. They say some pretty Archie Bunker type things, especially when they're talking to Alberto Del Rio. But I had to do that. But I think it's working. I think it's working. It gets a lot of heat, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, had a question in the mailbag from a listener who wanted to know our thoughts on whether or not they would be doing this angle if Linda was still running for the Senate.
Probably not.
Yeah,
that's a very good question. And I don't think they would do that, no. But I think Linda running for office is pretty much a done deal. And I could be wrong. Yeah,
I thought the last time she was done. And
right. And here she come back again.
Yeah.
She's not getting any younger. So but I think this thing with Jack Swagger and Zed Coulter, it's kind of old school. I like it. Yeah. I like the managing mouthpiece guys. The Paul Heymans. I'm glad to see Vince and the powers that be bringing back some of the traditional type managers. It's part of wrestling.
It is good. It is good to see them.
Yeah,
and especially somebody that can get heat the way that Dutch Mantel is definitely able to get heat.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
We saw the return of the Phenom at the top of the show and also at the end of the show. Were you surprised to see Taker back?
No, because it's time. You figured he had to come back soon. They're 3-4 weeks out from the show, and Undertaker, he does basically the big ones, and I think he's probably down to like 2, maybe 3, maybe just 1 here lately. The big shows, WrestleMania being the biggest. He's got the streak, so that's already built in heat, and every now and again, maybe he'll do a SummerSlam or a Royal Rumble or something like that. But, it's good to see The Undertaker, man. He still has it. And that should be a good good matchup with CM Punk in New Jersey.
Absolutely. Definitely looking forward to that. Of course, if you're just tuning in, the Pro Wrestling Remix, we're doing a Raw reaction show. Yours truly, Don McKay, and the Jammer putting in the work right here.
The captain, the guiding light, the maker of champions. Oh, Captain Lou Albano. That was his line. He was the captain. He was the guiding light. He was going to take you to the promised land, and he was going to make you a champion. But glad to be on the show, Diamond.
Definitely glad to have you here. Some of the I'll call them the old school elements to the show I like. And I think that they need to go back to some of those. You know how someone they're having a feud with maybe have a little spot on the screen where they're doing some backstage talk, some pre-recorded stuff, or the wrestler in the ring did some pre-recorded stuff and they have it playing in a little box on the screen as a match. I like those. I like that. And
you like those vignettes?
Yeah, they need to go back to that.
I remember them, and I remember them, and it helps the character. It is really for the people at home, though. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, well, definitely.
If you're in Buffalo, you don't know nothing about it. So it's really for the folks at home. But that was good to see. I'm gonna tell you what I like, and you're gonna find it kind of strange, and I don't know what it is. I prefer the guardrails that they use tonight instead of that rubbery set they normally use outside the ring.
I agree.
For some reason, I prefer...
It looks more painful. Looks more painful to the guys.
I think the guardrail looks more painful. That other thing that they use, that all-black thing, that's pretty cushy.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
It's rubberized. But, I mean, I guess you got to keep these guys safe. They do a lot of work. And, But it's just something about the railing around the ring. I kind of like that. And that's about it, That's about it as far as the set. They have the old WWE graphic, on the turnbuckles and things of that nature. So, even down to the microphone. They had old school microphones, and so they didn't miss one trick from the old school. Good to see mean, my God, Gene, and God bless her, Mae Young is still living. Mae Young is, no matter what they said she was dead 3 years ago, but she popped.
She's on her way.
Heard Betty White. God bless him.
Neck and neck, yeah. She said she's trying to get 100 years out. I really would be pleased to see that happen.
Well, if she keeps taking bumps, I don't know. But it's good to see them acknowledge the people of the past, and that's part of wrestling. That's part of anything, especially if you've been following it for as long as yourself and I've been following the Diamond K. We basically live off the past because that's what got us into it. It's good to it's good to see that. Good to see them people, and then I guess those people are saying, "Well, it's good to be seen."
And it is. I'm glad that they're truly building this show, and around WrestleMania time, they really pull out all the stops and they really get to the storytelling. and
there's two reasons for that, really. They are building up to the big show of the year, which is WrestleMania, and it's sweeps. It's February sweeps on television. So,
true.
Yeah. So
That's
you
true.
know, you pull out all the big guns,
Yeah,
when the sweeps are going on. So it works out for Vince. He had a good show, and a lot of people were on Facebook talking about old school WWE tonight, and I think it was trending, the number one thing trending on Twitter. So, Twitter. But, yeah, it worked out. I love that old school stuff, man. And, yeah, some of that stuff they can bring back every week if you ask me, but on with the show, this is it.
They set the main event early and promoted it all throughout the show. This four-way dance between guys that wanted to fight The Undertaker. CM
Randy
Punk,
Orton was in there, and
Sheamus, and The Big Show. I like the way they built the show, the main event rather, going throughout the whole thing. I knew that CM Punk had to come up on the winning end of this, but they definitely led you to believe that it could go any way, possibly going towards Orton. I was kind of leaning towards as well, although I didn't want to see that happen.
And funny thing about it, Randy Orton did the job. So,
right.
I didn't suspect. I kind of figured all along. CM Punk is hot. So, you're putting them in against a already built in. That streak is built in. So it was good to see. It should be a good matchup between CM
definitely.
Punk and The Undertaker, who's much older. The Undertaker is old school. Huh?
Literally. Do we need to see the Undertaker in a match prior to WrestleMania, or is it fine to have him just wrestle at WrestleMania, no type of warm up or tune up match?
Well, I don't know if it's necessary to see him in a match because they're pretty much the same. But I guess maybe some type of interaction with CM Punk would be good. Maybe have Heyman take a bump or something like that. But probably save the contact for the show because you know what you're going to get from The Undertaker. And, you know what you're going to get from CM Punk. So, if I had anything to do with it, which I don't, but I probably would save that contact for the show. Again, The Undertaker's not, he's not a baby. So, he's got to, maybe a little contact here and there, but, that WrestleMania show is what you got to save it up for. So I could imagine you could see some type of interaction to help push it over as they go toward the New Jersey stadium there for WrestleMania. What is it called now? Lincoln? What is it? MetroLife? What's that stadium in New Jersey?
Yeah.
MetLife. MetLife.
Yeah.
Everything
absolutely.
Everything corporate,
Everything.
But that's going to be nice, and I hope they have good weather. It's
I think they will.
Up north.
They will. Yeah.
And it's where the Super Bowl is going to be next year too. So I hope they have nice.
Let me first say this, and I said this on Twitter. Vicky Guerrero is looking pretty good. Okay, I don't know if it's me or what, but she's doing something.
Wait a minute, ladies and gentlemen. Did you say Vicky Guerrero is looking pretty good as so far as
I can see, and I have 20/20 vision, and so I just wanted to put that out there. Okay.
Thanks.
I just wanted to put that out
I needed to hear that at the midnight hour. She looks better. Apparently she must be losing some weight. Yeah, she looks better. But Dolph Ziggler could probably, have a problem with you Look, well, he's not even with her anymore. Who's with her?
No.
It seems like they're trying to make her a face.
Yeah, and she could be. She could be.
Excuse me, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, hey, that's Eddie's wife, so he's not around anymore, Diamond K. So hey, do you?
Right, you never know. You never know. We saw Antonio Cesaro and Ryback in a I would say a competitive match, which saw Ryback coming out on the winning side of it.
Yeah, but that Antonio guy, I've heard the announcer say it over and over. And one of these wrestling shows I've done with you, I said how much of an old school guy he reminds me of, and he could. I hate to keep using that word old school, but that Antonio Cesaro guy, what is it?
Cesaro.
Antonio
Cesaro. Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah. He could fit back in the old school days. Yeah, he's a good wrestler. He's a good worker. But I guess they're going to have. Let's see. I guess they're trying to shape it up. Let's see. Ryback. Who is he going to face at WrestleMania?
Well, I mean, looking at that stare down that he had with Mark Henry, I would say that's right. That's a possibility right there.
Yeah, that would be good. That would be a very good encounter. And then, of course, you have Triple H and Brock Lesnar. Look like that's going to happen.
Definitely.
At WrestleMania. So it's shaping up to be a pretty big card. And, of course, I'm looking forward to the Hall of Fame inductions. The night before at Madison Square Garden when they put in Bruno Sammartino. That's going to be pretty special.
The all-time great. The all-time great.
And it's amazing that it's happening at Madison Square Garden, who, Bruno sold out for years. I mean, it wasn't even a thought back then. He sold it out before the night of the show. If you didn't have a ticket for the Monday Night Wrestling show at the Garden when Bruno Sammartino was in his heyday, well, you weren't going to see it. But they used to televise a lot of that stuff on Madison Square Garden television. But Bruno, and the fact that it's taking place, the award ceremony at the Madison Square Garden is perfect. My question to you, Diamond K. Commish, who do you think is going to present Bruno with the plaque? Who's going to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the inductor, the inductor, I think is going to be Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I know that came out of nowhere, but that's my pick. Arnold Schwarzenegger is my pick.
Wait a minute. You're in rare form tonight. You've got an eye for Vicky Guerrero and Arnold Schwarzenegger to induct Bruno Sammartino into the WWE Hall of Fame. Well, why would you say Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Well, I've been seeing him hanging out a little bit, and Bruno went into another Hall of Fame, some type of a classic sports Hall of Fame over the weekend. He was there with Schwarzenegger, and I've been seeing them palling around. And I just think that that's who he's going to go with. I think that aside from him, I can't see anybody. I mean, it's not going to be David Sammartino, that's for sure. So it's not going to be Vince or Triple H. So I think that he doesn't. Yeah.
Well, let me step in, my friend, and say now, I don't know. It could very well be Vincent Kennedy. You got to keep in mind.
That would be amazing.
Well, it's wrestling. And you got to think about how much Bruno meant to Vince's father.
Oh yeah.
So it's almost like, this is what I'm thinking. My thinking is in honor of Bruno's dad. In honor of Vince McMahon's dad, Vince Sr. at the Garden, that made Vince's dad and pretty much the business what it is now, selling out a big venue, even though it was territorial back then. It was New York. That was the biggest piece of the pie because it's New York, the Mecca. I wouldn't be surprised to see Vince McMahon induct Bruno on behalf of his father into the WWE Hall of Fame. I could see that more than Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Well, I mean, nobody can see Arnold Schwarzenegger, but, my thing is this. Vince McMahon inducting Bruno Sammartino in the Hall of Fame would be, I mean, you can't get any better than that. Vince, I don't even think has even made an appearance at the Hall of Fame, with the exception of when he, put his father in. But that would truly be the way that they should go. I just don't know if that's the way they are going to go. There's been heat with Bruno and Vince over the years, so I'm just not sure whether or not that could truly happen. But I would like to see that happen, and that's the best choice right there.
Well, it was Triple H who made this thing happen. I don't think he would induct Bruno because he's just, that's what I'm saying. Arnold Schwarzenegger, I can't see it. I will, and that's one of the things I guess we will see. But
let me say, I'd rather see Vince McMahon do it.
But you think Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yep, that's my pick here. Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, just saying it sounds crazy. I know.
Yeah, but we'll see.
What do you think about
I'm putting my money on Vince McMahon or Shane McMahon. I don't know.
It's definitely
I just
not
think what
be
he
Shane.
did for the family.
Yeah.
Maybe McMahon. I don't know. Bruno is the one that fed them. He's the one that put the money in Vince's father's pocket. So.
Yeah, clearly it took Triple H.
Huh?
I said it took Triple H to make this happen. Vince could not make it happen. So I just find it strange that after all of these years of Vince not being able to make it happen, and Vince and Bruno know each other very well, for Bruno to say, okay, let me get you to induct me, even though I don't like you.
That's a very interesting point.
And Bruno is old school, man, and he gets stuck on a point, and that's just how he feels.
Right.
I think he's back now because they've toned it down some, and they're paying him a lot of money.
Yeah. They are paying him a lot of money to go into this Hall of Fame. But he has to be in there.
Yeah,
he has to be in there really for it to really kind of. How can you not have a Hall of Fame and pro wrestling and not have Bruno Sammartino in there? But then at the same token, some people could say, how can you have a baseball Hall of Fame and not have Pete Rose or
I agree with that.
Or Barry Bonds,
right? It doesn't even make sense.
The all-time home run leading hitter. If you overlook some things. So what makes sense?
A couple things.
So what we're saying, what makes sense sometimes don't make sense all the time. So we'll see what happens the night before WrestleMania at the Mecca as they have the Hall of Fame inductions.
Absolutely. I've yet to go to that building. I definitely want to make it there someday.
I've never gone there to see pro wrestling. I've seen a lot of wrestling out of there. But it's a $20,000 place, $20,000 seat, and to this day, WWE can still pack it in there. So it really kind of kept it going. That's been the one constant at Madison Square Garden: pro wrestling and Frank Sinatra. God rest his soul.
Absolutely. The Miz. What do you think about the Miz's face turn? Trying to get the rub from the Nature Boy. how well do you think his face turn is going?
Well, they sort of got him as what we call a tweener because he's doing a lot of, he's like a commentator, and he wrestles. I think it's coming over pretty good. He's still not getting a lot. I think a lot of people are confused on what they're doing with him. Are you an announcer? Or who are you feuding with? I think he's feuding with, who did he take on tonight? Was it Dolph Ziggler? Sure.
Yeah, he took on Ziggler.
Yeah, so, he's kind of a tweener. I think he probably wouldn't be getting this push if it wasn't for some type of movie he's in from WWE Productions or whatever they call it, the movie division. He's got something coming out, so he's getting, he's on all the shows. He's on the Main Event show, on Ion. He's on SmackDown. He's an announcer on some shows, so he's everywhere. But
he's definitely,
his face turn is not really going over as well. I think a lot of people are confused, really, what they're doing with.
And it's definitely understandable. We have a couple minutes left. I definitely want to touch on the main event for WrestleMania, definitely, which took shape last week. The Rock versus Cena in a rematch from last year's WrestleMania. The once-in-a-lifetime match. I guess our lifetime is, I don't know. But it's back again the following year. The once-in-a-lifetime is back. Cena versus The Rock. This is their first series of back and forths, if you will. I think that The Rock got the best of this. Definitely a pro-Rock crowd in New York, as it will be at WrestleMania, in my opinion. What did you think about their interaction tonight?
Well, brilliant. Well, you got two good guys that's on the mic. Cena's good sometimes, and he was tonight. And, of course, The Rock is The Rock. So that guy just, he gets it. He's, wrestling is in his blood. So he can, he's great. I mean, I thought it was a great exchange between the two. And it should be a very good matchup. I'm expecting Cena to win. I could be wrong.
I am as well. How can you go any other way? Cena's got to win, and eventually we're going to get the rubber match between the two. That's what I'm predicting.
2 out of 3. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe next year at WrestleMania, our lives will get extended again. Between The Rock and Cena. But, and it's just about time for The Rock to take off, isn't it? He's been pretty steady. He's been working a full television schedule. He's showing up in all the towns. And, you got to keep that in mind. He does have a day job. And,
how about that?
So, let's see. That's, if you're thinking like that. But knowing Vince, and the guys and the bookers and all, creative team, I wouldn't be surprised to see The Rock beat Cena, just because everybody expects him to drop the belt and to say, it's been nice. See you, see you next January or whatever. But
they could do that. The Rock is definitely scheduled for the next pay-per-view following WrestleMania. And I think they did that to kind of confuse people. If The Rock wasn't scheduled for that pay-per-view, then we would definitely say, Cena's going to win, Rock's going to drop the title, no problem. But they scheduled him on the next pay-per-view, so we don't know whether or not that's a rematch there. And they have the rubber match the following pay-per-view, which they could do. I'm hearing rumors about a Brock WrestleMania match next year. So they could possibly give Cena the victory, have a rematch at the next pay-per-view to break the tie, and Cena wins that as well.
Well, that would be interesting. That would be very interesting. There would be a lot of losing for The Rock. That'll
Yeah.
so you got to keep that in mind. But it's he don't really need the strap to be over.
No.
But you could be right. You could be onto something there. I don't know if they would have the rematch right after WrestleMania. But this is the wrestling thing. You just don't know how this thing is going to turn or who's going to get involved. Hell, Dolph Ziggler could cash in the Money in the Bank and ruin everybody's night. Keep that in mind.
I definitely know that's coming sometime soon.
He said Ziggler's had Money in the Bank for a long damn time.
Yeah, I think in June he's got to cash it in before June.
Right, because it'll be time for another pay-per-view. So
no one's kept it this long. No one expected him to keep it this long.
Yeah, he's unlike most Americans these days, he's had Money in the Bank for a while. So eventually, eventually he's going to have to cash that in. So that should be interesting to see how that plays out. But it's going to be a good WrestleMania 29. Place is sold out, and I guess as the weeks go on, they're into the hot, promotion drive of it now. So it should get better and better as we get there. The closer and closer we get, it should be a pretty good night of pro wrestling.
Absolutely.
For WrestleMania 29.
Definitely want to thank everybody for listening, tuning in. We are up against the clock. I definitely want to have another discussion with you very soon about why I feel the streak needs to end. And I definitely want us to get together. We definitely need to connect our schedules sometime in the next week or so. To have a discussion about that. I feel that the Undertaker streak must come to an end, and I want to talk us in depth about why I feel.
Yeah, I was going to say it. I want you to tell us why, and also give us a little insight on your weird crush all of a sudden on the hot Vicky Guerrero. That'll be on the next show, ladies and gentlemen. You definitely want to tune in for that. You definitely, you definitely want to tune in to see why Diamond K all of a sudden has the hots for Vicky Guerrero.
Right.
Was there any Divas matches tonight?
No. The only Divas action that we got were them babysitting Mae Young.
Mae Young, yeah. But speaking of Divas, that Jimmy Superfly Snooker's daughter, she's the truth.
Yeah, she's all right.
Yeah, she's very, very talented in that ring. Reminds you a lot of her father.
Definitely. I agree with that. I agree with that.
She can go.
All right, well, we got another one's in the can.
All righty, Diamond K. I look forward to being back on the show with you very soon. And, of course, it all leads up to WrestleMania 29 in New Jersey. That's going to be, be a barn burner. That's going to be a barn burner. All righty, my friend.
Sounds good.
Take it easy.
All right.
It's been a great night of wrestling, and we'll talk soon.
Absolutely. All right.